Following James's birth, Ruth found herself overwhelmed. The family had recently moved into an apartment, and Ruth returned to work a month after having the baby. Even though she was used to late-night work, she was sleep-deprived. Her father had also moved in with them after being injured in a car accident. Having no extra room for a guest room, Nathan and all his things were moved into Jane's room, who wasn't happy about it. To make sure Jane didn't feel neglected, Ruth took her on mother-daughter outings, focusing on the arts, as her own mother had done. Ruth never considered taking time off in fear of being judged as a family woman. Thankfully, things calmed down after Nathan recovered and could help with James's playtime. Ruth's schedule lightened further when James was eligible to enroll in the nursery. Her academic career was progressing. She became an associate professor in 1966 and went on to be the first woman to be appointed as a full tenured professor in 1969. She also accepted an honorary degree from Lund University. While her interest in civil rights had always been an integral part of her character, it wasn't until she made progress in her academic career that she felt she could get involved. Ever active, she volunteered to the New Jersey affiliate of the American Civil Liberties Union, ACLU. The world was changing around her, and she could see the reflection of it in her classroom. When she'd first started teaching, she had less than 10 women in her classes. As the decade was ending and men were going off to the Vietnam War, there were increasingly more women in law schools. The Civil Rights Act of 1964, which had finally made skin color discrimination illegal for employers, also prohibited not employing people because of their gender. Regardless, the latter was more treated as a joke by Congress. It wasn't until 1968 that people started treating that law seriously, and only after the Johnson administration added discrimination based on sex to the list of offenses that jeopardized federal funding. In 1970, Ruth was approached by Janice Goodman and Susan Deller Ross, law students at New York University. Incensed that the school only awarded male students with prestigious scholarships, they formed the Women's Rights Committee. Apart from that, they wanted a class on how the law viewed women, as no other U.S. school had such a course. They asked if Ruth was interested in teaching it. Excited, she immediately proceeded to the library to research what had so far been published on the matter. It wasn't much, or always helpful, and Ruth made it through the material in a month. When she suggested her new course to Dean Heckel, she found him unpredictably interested. The course was entitled Women's Rights, Sex Discrimination and the Law. Ruth decided to add a symposium on women and the law. That way she'd establish both hers and Rutgers' pioneer role in this new legal field. The response was enthusiastic. What followed was the foundation of the first United States law journal that focused solely on women's rights. A Rutgers Law alumna, Anne Marie Boland, had been endeavoring to launch a feminist journal for a while. She shared her ideas with others, and they met with the dean at Rutgers, who told them they'd need to find a faculty advisor, their own office space, and provide the funding. Ruth immediately agreed to be the faculty advisor. The journal moved to the campus in 1972 and was officially associated with Rutgers in 1974. The Women's Rights Law Reporter's first issue was published in 1971 with a roster of the best early feminism lawyers. Setting a precedent. In late October of 1970, Marty was browsing tax court rulings when he spotted something interesting. He rushed to Ruth's desk and passed her the page, insisting she read a case. Ruth didn't read tax cases, but she made an exception. It was the only case they ever worked on together. The case was about Charles E. Moritz, a never-married traveling book salesman. Moritz lived with his mother and paid for a nurse whenever he was traveling. After he was denied a tax deduction for the nursing fees because he was a man, Moritz had brought his case before the U.S. tax court. However, the original IRS ruling was upheld. Ruth wanted the case. If they won, she'd be able to use it as a precedent in women's rights cases. She contacted the legal director at the ACLU, also an old friend from Chinoa, Mel Wolfe. She explained that she and Marty were happy to work the case pro bono if the ACLU backed them up. Wolfe agreed within 3 days.
to keep listening to this audiobook. I've left you a link in the description so you can do it at no cost thanks to Audible's 30-day free trial.